situation, but like when you go into like Target or Whole Foods or whatever, like it's not a survival situation. If you choose the oat milk over the cow's milk, like you're not gonna die.
Oh, most definitely, but um, like in all like civilization games, no one just starts out with the Target or or starts out with the Walmart. So we definitely had to come a long way to actually get to that point that we can actually choose what to eat and what to buy in the stores. But it's certainly a very amusing topic though.
Well, sure, but you're saying that we it's a what would you say, like a journey to get to the point where we can choose? But are you not at the point where you can choose the vegan options over the non-vegan options?
I'm certainly at a point. So yeah, I am at the point to choose. The main question is why do I not choose the vegan option? And why have I continued with the meat eating option, even though I have the choice now to pick a more, beneficial or uh, more ethical way because we're not in these, old times anymore where we can just, kill, like, hunt and do all this other crazy stuff. But I know people are still hunting today and eating deers and stuff, but um
Yeah, well, let's just focus on your situation right now, because
okay.
like, are you in a situation to be able to choose vegan options over non-vegan options? Like, is that a yes or a no?
Um in in the am I in the situation right now as of today's date? Um I would say yes, I am in the position. Simply
Okay.
because, I can actually, go to the store and get, vegan vegan food. So I would say yeah, I am in a position to, change change, I guess.
Okay, well that's awesome then. So do you think that maybe you'll decide to choose those vegan options over the non-vegan options?
Oh, um, I mean, yeah. I mean, it's kind of like this because um, I, I I'm familiar with I don't know if anybody knows Spiritual Soul off YouTube, but he's a vegan and he always saying that vegan lifestyle it makes you like uh less more of a positive person because all the hormones that they put and all the stress hormones that they kill like the chickens have you eat those hormones too when you're eating them so it makes you more stressful, all these types of different stuff. And I really paid keen attention to when people talked about that. But as of right now, like as of this very moment, I really haven't thought about it that deeply. So what is your name? Guac?
Mhm.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I haven't really thought about it that deeply. It's certainly an eye opener though. But
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because, like, a lot of people, they don't think about this sort of thing because I feel like animal products are just a part of our lives ever since we're kids, and we're just kind of we grow up and we're taught that it's normal and we're not exactly expected to question it. In fact, in a lot of cases where we're told not to question it. So I think now maybe that you have more information about the subject, maybe when you go to the store, instead of buying the meats or the cheese or the eggs, you could try the vegan food instead. And you know what? Just go vegan while at it. Like, maybe stop buying leather, stop buying products tested on animals. Like, I feel
oh
like it
yeah,
would be really beneficial.
leather too.
Hmm.
Because leathers make yeah. So interesting. Um, like I just want to apologize for the for the people who came here expecting a heated discussion because I feel like debates that aren't heated are kind of like boring. But
I don't think anyone would expect that, right? We like prefer not to have that, so
really, okay,
FYI.
all right.
Mm. And Lance, just to give you a little bit more context as to where these animal products come from, are you familiar with what the practices are within factory farms, which produce like over
Oh,
90%?
of course. Yeah,
Of,
they drown pigs.
yeah, and they
That's what
gas
they
them
do.
to death.
They drown, they gas them.
Mm-hmm.
They what is it called when you slit the chicken at the throat and drain their blood, which is very painful? It's called koshering or koshering or something like that. Yeah, they do that as well. They do that with um the cows are mostly corn-fed cows are, you know, they're not even supposed to be eating corn. They're supposed to be eating grass, but they eat corn to, fatten them up and, you know, harvest more,
Mm-hmm.
have bigger harvests. So yeah, I'm aware, but could you kind of like tell me something that is less more, familiar with, mainstream?
Like information about these industries that isn't as widely known.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm not sure what you already do and do not know, but I guess the basic premise would just be that these are unimaginably cruel industries. They're raising and slaughtering animals by the tens of billions, and when you count marine life, it likely starts getting into the trillions. And this is all coming at the expense, of course, of the environment and even humans, because animal agriculture occupies like what is it? 1/3 of Earth's total available land surface, and then 2/3 of all agricultural land. And this is the most efficient way to meet the current demand for animal products, because if we were to expand it to these happy cow farms that everyone seems to get their animal products from, we would need multiple Earths to do that. And like I said, there's also human rights violations to consider. Like, these industries are notorious for pushing indigenous people off their lands. They exploit the labor of illegal immigrants because these immigrants can't go to the government or they'll be deported. And the jobs are often dangerous and fatal, and they suffer from conditions like alcoholism, PTSD, domestic violence. And they
Did you
also
say PTSD? PTSD?
yeah, because they face horrible working conditions. Like, the machinery they work with is very dangerous. And as you can imagine, working around death all day, literally killing for a living, literally like sending babies to gas chambers for a living. Like, it'll take its toll on your mental health for sure.
Hmm. Another thing I was talking about with another server was that uh, w- the farmers who actually do the killings of these, animals. Is there like, do they have a suicidal rate for these farmers, or are they like, do they love their job of killing like, animals? Because I don't know if there's any farmers here in this server.
Well, if we're talking about like factory farm slaughterhouse workers, I don't know what the rates on suicide would be, but I would not be surprised if it were high. If Mary's here, she probably has more information on that for you. But generally speaking, like, the people who work in these conditions, they only do it because they really don't have any other option to. Like, if if you had the option to work at like a nice restaurant, or to like grind baby chicks up alive and hang pigs upside down and slit their throats and drain them of blood, like, you'd probably choose the restaurant. Like, no one works in these places
Yeah,
because they
for
want
for, for example, in the UK, I have looked at abattoir work jobs just out of curiosity, but they mostly hire f- basically foreigners, people who are desperate. Asylum seekers are the main sources of abattoir workers. So the government will say, Here's work for you," and then they're just like, "Okay, I guess we got to do it." And yeah, it's not a very nice situation.
to. Hmm.
Can I ask a question? You made a statement where they grind up, and I was, what was it
Well,
meant
there's
for?
I'll post a GIF.
yeah, yeah. Like, there's footage of it happening, and it's also worth noting that's actually endorsed by the RSPCA. It's considered humane. Like, grinding babies up alive is considered humane by these industries. So just imagine what the practices are that aren't considered humane.
Common practice. Close enough.
Eggs.
Egg,
Yeah, right. Because these.
like the eggs,
Sorry, what?
eggs in the pie.
Yes, because they have to breed chickens into the industry, right? But the thing is the male chicks won't actually lay any eggs, and they weren't selectively bred in the way that broiler chickens are. So when the males are born, because I should have noted this before, it is specifically the males, they serve no purpose to the industry, so to save money, they just grind them up alive and kill them.
And actually, that's one of the, if they don't have money to do that, it's a little bit more expensive to have the grinder because it's quicker, so they think it's more ethical. Normally, though, if they don't have the money, they'll just tie them in a garbage bag and leave them there, or drown them.
Mhm. Yeah. Any way that they can kill them in massive amounts.
Hmm. It's
I
very
I'd just like to ask you, do you think like these chicks being like grind alive or suffocated, that they're conscious while doing it? Do you agree? Like if you've got like a newborn chick and that, like it's responding, it's engaging with its environment. Do you agree that it's just that is the state of the chick? It's not just like you know, it is an entity. It is a in a kind of way a person.
I definitely
Was
don't
that a
think
question
it's
to
kind
me?
of
Well, it's a
a
person to itself. You know what I mean? It has its own personhood. You agree with that definition? Has its
no.
own
I think you're
personhood.
giving chicken a outlook, kind of gives it that picture about it,
I
but
mean,
on a
am I?
scale, no. I don't think.
You don't
Oh,
think it has an well, it has an entity, doesn't it? It has its own well-being, its own like feelings, thoughts.
Don't know if they have thoughts, and
I mean, don't we?
I don't. In
So
Uh,
when
their
I like,
hey guys, sorry. I
thoughts.
feel like this is starting to get into kind of a different conversation.
oh,
So
sorry,
if you
sorry.
guys,
I
no, it's fine.
apologize.
Like if you want, we could always open another debate crucible if you guys want to go at it. But right now, I feel like Lance was really starting to have his mind open to veganism, and I think if he's starting to gravitate towards that direction, then I feel like this is a great opportunity to help him with that.
Absolutely, yeah.
I apologize. I
Actually, if you want,
I can open up.
yeah, if you
Wait,
want,
but we couldn't even
I'll
hold it
actually
to
open
general.
another debate crucible. Me and you could have it, a debate if you want.
Well, no, you guys can go to general, and I can. Those who want to like, let's say, like, stay and like debate, because I feel like this is like, between you and Guac, it seems like there's no really debate going on anymore. It's more of like discussion, right? And I think that it seems like you're really open minded to this, and also I
oh,
just want to put up
yeah.
this offer to you, by the way, that me myself, I'm already supposed to be watching either Dominion or Earthlings. They're both documentaries. um I'm supposed to be watching one of those documentaries with another person already, and if you want to join us, you are more than welcome to do so. I watched them both before, but I think that some people, it helps them to watch these documentaries with other people. So I just wanted to let you know that before you disappeared. Sorry. And I DM'd you a paper in regards to the slaughterhouse worker conditions and PTSD, suicide, etc. Sorry,
I
Guac, go ahead.
see. I see. Miss Misa? Is that your name?
Yeah, that's me. You can just call me
Okay.
Mary.
Mary? All right. Mary. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, I'm happy with the conversation that this is gone. So, Lance, is you seems like you were pretty willing to give veganism a shot. So, is there anything we can do to help you out with that?
Um, Honestly, I've been coming to this Discord, for about like a week. Not a week, just little under a week, or maybe it has been only a couple days, but I can see from those couple days that there's actually some, you know, well, there's certainly scales of more extremists and more, non-extremists, but that's with everything, But I can definitely see me, actually giving it a shot, but uh, even the more I come into this Discord, it's just gonna, uh, make me more and more motivated to actually want to do it. So, as long as I just keep on, having an open mind and coming to Discord, I don't see a problem. I don't see a problem. I can probably just, pick up some things here and there that'll, slowly push me towards veganism. But that's just a that's just a guess. It's a good guess
Mhm.
though.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you need help with any of that, we're a server full of vegans, and I feel like there's few things vegans love more than helping people go vegan. So if you need, recipe ideas, grocery ideas, anything like that, you're more than welcome to just ask, and I'm sure we'll all be more than happy to help you out with that.
Yeah, yeah. Sounds nice.
All right. And I definitely think it's worth taking Mary up on her offer of watching the documentary with her because I think it's really important when we're talking about these things to have that visual understanding of what exactly it is that we're discussing. Because I think it's a lot easier for non vegans. I'm not saying this is you specifically, but I think it's a lot easier for non vegans to come in here and defend not being vegan when they don't have those images of like pigs screaming in gas chambers, when they don't have those images of baby cows being killed, you know? Um, so I think it'll just give you a better understanding of exactly why vegans are so passionate about what we are.
Yeah, I definitely over the years I've definitely seen how passionate vegans are. Especially this coming recent years when um I've seen a whole lot of stuff pop up over, either social media or YouTube or any really social outlet that, I've seen, a lot of vegan stuff come popping up now. So definitely this movement is getting a little a little spark in like recognition, but it's always nice to see that though. As long as you guys seem pretty nice. I mean, you seem pretty nice. Like I haven't talked to many people. I talked to like you, and I talked to Star and a couple other people down in a Church of Darth. But as far as I can tell, you guys seem pretty okay. I don't have really any problem.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, and I'm glad to hear that your experience with this server has been generally a positive one. And I agree. Like, I think veganism is definitely gaining momentum as we go, and I think it's for good reason because when you consider what's at stake here, all these lives of these animals, the suffering of them, the suffering of the poor and ethnic communities that these industries devastate and the planet and everything. I think veganism is something that everyone should be concerned with because it is tremendously important, no matter who you are, because it affects all of us.
Hmm. I would have to agree with. Um, Another thing I wanted to point out was um, if we if we do, switch places, for example, if we put people in um the farms, how would that make us feel? And if some other, more powerful, more, robust, you know, entity or civilization were to come to Earth, this is obviously a hypothetical. I don't believe in aliens or anything like that, but if that were the situation and we were put in the farms, how would that make us feel? I feel like um, if we actually gave that a thought, it would make us kind of seem more, sentimental to these animals who are actually in that position as we speak. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree with you. And I think when we do those sorts of thought experiments, it kind of helps to put things into perspective. Because, like, I think when you look at animals or non-human animals suffering, there for a lot of people, they just seem so different from us that it might be harder to empathize with them. So I think imagining us being in their position, it kind of gives us a better understanding of what that type of suffering might be like, and it's the same type of suffering that they do experience every single day, even as we're having this conversation. So yeah, I think that's a really great point that you make, and it's amazing to hear that come from a non-vegan as well.
Well, I didn't really think about it on my own. It it was it's been it was a thought I've been having for quite a while because of um the one show I did mention, The Promised Neverland, where they actually do put the children in the farms and they actually do harvest them like cows. So it definitely did, have a different mindset. But yeah, thank you for, that.
Yeah, of course, and thank you for coming in here and being open to this discussion and having an open mind.
Oh,
Um,
I'm open to a lot of things, trust me. I'm open to a lot. So,
well,
yeah.
that's good to hear. And I have a few videos as well that I can send to you. I think absolutely you should watch Dominion, but I think people might be a little bit put off because it's about 2 hours. So I have a few shorter videos. One of them's about 12 minutes, and it's actually the video that turned me vegan. And I had also been talking to a person who views like pretty much everything as being amoral, like not being moral or immoral. And when he watched the video, he told me that it opened his eyes a lot too, and it even got him wanting to be more plant-based in the way that he lives his life. So I could send that to you.
Yeah. Yeah, send it through. I'll give it a
Okay.
shot. I'll watch it.
All right. And I also have another video that's much shorter. It's about 3 minutes, and I found that one to be one of the most powerful videos I've seen as well, which is great because I think if something's shorter, people are more likely to watch it.
Yeah, send it. Send it. Yeah. Yeah, most definitely. I kind of feel like, you know, the way we do approach non the way we have to approach non-vegans is kind of iffy. It's kind of like a hit or miss really because some aren't as open. Some aren't willing to discuss. It's probably have a lot to do with their cognition. And honestly, I don't really I don't really feel like I have that issue though. But of course, I'm no better than anyone else. So I just wanted to make it clear that as long as we keep, a positive mindset, or as long as we keep on speaking with respect and with kindness, then I'm sure we can, kind of have more people like me pop up, or you can actually kind of have more people who are willing to change or listen. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, absolutely. I think the more
You're
people
you're
that come
very
in here.
positive. You're very positive.
I mean, I try to sound like it. Thank you. I do wish more of the non-vegans that came through here had your attitude towards this. And I mean, I think if we're done with the debate in here, we could go ahead and lock the crucible because I don't think there's much else that we
Wait,
are
actually,
debating.
there was that one guy before. I don't know if he's still here.
Oh yeah, Sean G, I think it was.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah, if oh, okay. Do you want to debate?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, it doesn't have to be me. It could be anyone. Do you have a preference?
No. Or food.
So you don't think animals have thoughts or feelings?
Someone was saying, talking about chicken.
That might be really trivial, though. I mean, I don't think any being, even humans compared to other humans, have the exact same thought process. Like,
It wasn't a process, but about traits. Chicken.
I don't know if that's what we're necessarily doing. It like the way that we think about it is that they may think, well, we don't really know how they think, but they at least have thoughts and feelings at the bare minimum. And it seems like if we're drawing some threshold, they don't have to be equal to us, but they're above that threshold where we would grant moral consideration.
That they hate to do.
Just that they have self-awareness and, in some cases, metacognition.
Have the same.
Do you think plants have self-awareness or metacognition? Sure. What's the
But
what's the argument for that?
one of the natural defenses of a lot of plants in the world. Animal species start of them start turning to have a bitter taste to them, drowning out as if fucking meadows of happening.
Well, I'm just going to take the agnostic position on that. So I think that it could be the case that they're actually doing that from some kind of extremely low level of consciousness. But who's to say that it's equally not just as likely or more likely that they're just doing that from some kind of nerve response, or like, because if I press a key on the keyboard, right, you're not going to say that my computer's self-aware, are you? If a key shows up and my computer seems to be responding to me pressing the key, that seems to be completely analogous to what you're saying, right?
Plants are
I think they have intelligence. I think they have a vast level of intelligence. I don't think we understand just how intelligent they are. But we have some incredible tests on them. I'm fascinated by the studies and the evidence that we do have for plant intelligence, but I don't think that those necessarily it follows that there's those arguments for self-awareness, just intelligence. Like we call a supercomputer or Google DeepMind, we say that computer is super intelligent, right? But we wouldn't say that computer is necessarily self-aware.
I'm saying
I mean, just some amounts. Seems like they have some amount of intelligence and some amount of self-awareness, and maybe even I'd go as far to say as they have metacognition. But it seems like you're granting that plants have this and then denying that animals have this. So it seems like a very weird position that you've drawn up.
I'm trying. No. Scale.
Yeah, so I mean, so you agree it sounds very weird to say that plants have self-awareness, but then a chicken doesn't have self-awareness. So what actually is your position? Can you just put it forward?
I'm sorry. Yeah. It's not that I don't. I guess it's the intelligence kind of where I don't think they have that much. I have a situation where they're able to tools make effort to get free and all that stuff. Their intelligence on that.
Yeah, that sort of stuff is sort of what I'd be looking for. So what kind of behavioral test could we construct to demonstrate some kind of intelligence? And then would all humans be able to pass that test? Would it be universalizable? Because it seems like there's already some animals that you probably, if you're a meat eater, you might already be eating animals who are going to be able to pass this test. I don't know. Like if you're saying using tools, That's one, but presumably there's going to be more tests that we can put on the table, right?
Ask a chicken to put the oxen to pass the test.
I don't have any studies on hand for problem solving, but that's different kinds of problem solving are
Could I
good
just
tests.
could I just give some advice real quick? Okay, so I don't think that would apply to all humans either. So I personally right here would ask for name the trait. So, because I'm pretty sure I could find plenty of humans who can't put like puzzles together. So, I would say certain ones can't.
Well, we
I'm gonna
could be
say
running
that-
some
I'm
kind
gonna
of
say
name the
that
trait style
100%.
argument, but we could be running some kind of name the trait style argument. But I'm going down a different route for this guy.
Yeah, I would
If you
recommend
want to
name the trait.
practice,
I think it's the best. No, you go for it.
if you need to practice, I can step out. It's fun.
Nah, I don't have a problem. I'm good.
So we have different tests that we could construct our like problem solving. What was the other one? I just want to get them on the tables, and then once we set that, we can. I may or may not provide a counter.
I don't know what you would set up to check a chicken's intelligence. Firstly, you assume to use something that would test a person's intelligence, but chicken's gonna pass any of them.
Sorry, I missed that last thing you said.
I was just saying that most likely what we would end up doing, constructing a test or a series of tests that would basically test the human's intelligence in our brains, because that's what we're going to end up coming up with test studies. And I don't think a chicken would pass any intelligence test that we could construct for it.
Right, but we'd have to be careful there not to use some kind of proprietary test, like an IQ test with the English language, because then you're going to run into really strange issues where not all humans are going to be able to read that language, and I don't see why we'd expect a chicken to be able to read English. So if it's
Like problem solve stuff like
Chickens
that.
don't have hands.
That's going to be a problem for the chicken, right? But either way, it's not going to pass these tests. I don't think any test do we pass. Why I would put it probably at the low of the conscious of itself totem pole, I guess.
well, I mean, I think chickens have like incredible, like if you've ever seen a chicken or if you're socialized with them, then you know how well developed their visual abilities are. So they have incredible focus close up, so they can find little like burrows and burrow down and find even just the smallest little bits of food.
That's the survival.
But they can even hear like sounds that humans can't hear. They're extremely sensitive to like pressure levels and high frequency sound.
Migration pattern, harvest, Asian makes it so as a scavenge.
I think they would be able. I mean, I would predict that they would have intuitions about where there's going to be more or less food found.
Yeah, but I mean, would they remember where to come back to?
Um, I mean, I think most animals have basic memory. I think it's going to be very hard to make an argument that they wouldn't have.
Does a goldfish remember? at the top of the bowl, or does it go there when it's?
I remember reading a study that goldfish have incredible memory. Maybe I could pull it up actually. I mean, I don't want to get too into the weeds about that though. Like,
No worries, no worries.
I think even goldfish do have memory.
I haven't seen it, but if you post a link, I'll
Like just
after the after I'll read it.
like just to be clear, I don't think that if they have memory, then that necessarily means they have self-awareness. Because my computer has memory.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's kind of where I'm.
So it's not even making my case, right? It's sort of just a tangential point.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of where I'm trying to get to. If a chicken is worth saving because of its self awareness, what's less self aware than a chicken?
I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm just agnostic to that.
Okay, yeah, you said.
I think that they just have like some degree of self awareness, and I don't know if we could probably debate to what degree. I think that's open for debate, but I think most people are just going to agree that they do have self awareness.
Yeah, I have to concede to that. They don't. Yeah, like you said, it about the level, not the other. Not.
So I'll just post I'll just post a review of cognition in chickens. It's in the domestic chicken, so this is primarily what we're talking.
All right, awesome. I'll check it out.
So this is fairly long, but I want to get to this one part. I'm trying to find it. One sec. Right, so, okay, so this is the part I wanted to get to. So the passage of time in animals, right, is going to be incredibly relevant because you might predict from your thesis that a chicken, its reality and its sense of time, they're just these parsed events that aren't. It's not really a coherent sequence of events. So the passage of time is going to be incredibly important to substantiating that thesis. Like, so you would predict that it would just be more random or spaced out. Like, if you take the example of like, oh hey, there's a piece of kale here, and oh the kale's gone, and then like it's just like meaningless, or like which even implies further things like their deaths hold less weight because they don't even know what it's like to be alive in 10 minutes from now. So there was a, if you scroll down, you can control find this in the study. There's only one study directly testing time perception in chickens. It seems like from this, I can link the actual citation that they do have very fundamental temporal abilities, but they were given a reliable predictive visual signal, and the hens were allowed to peek a computer controlled touchscreen that delivered food reward upon the first peck after 6 minutes. So the hens showed that they were capable of estimating the time interval by showing a pattern of increased pecking frequency around that 6 minute mark. So, I mean, like this isn't going to like 100% demonstrate that they understand the passage of time, but I mean, like this is something, right? This is better than just like nothing, and I think that you wouldn't even be able to predict this from your thesis. I think this underdetermines your thesis fundamentally.
Okay, well, so I'm kind of glancing through. Does that make it? Does that still make the chicken at the lowest of that totem pole, seeing birds that they studied their temporal much higher than.
Oh yeah, by the way, right below this is episodic memory, which sort of we were touching on
Yeah, I see.
a little bit earlier. The self-control part is also going to be incredibly useful
Yeah, but it's also
for what we're.
cognition. That's
That's fine.
that's like a,
That's fine. I'm not claiming that it is conclusive, but that's metacognition. That's separate from self-awareness. Self-awareness would be, I take it just to mean that self-awareness is a precursor or a prerequisite for metacognition. I'm not sure that's necessarily the case. It might be. You have to think about that a little bit more.
are aware of. At that level. Okay, so if are we saying chickens are just at the border of being able to do so, to be self-aware to the point where we shouldn't eat them then?
I think so. I mean, I don't know if you only eat chickens and you might not eat what you'd call like higher vertebrates, like cows or pigs.
Actually, I'd say 90%, 98% of my is from purely from hunting. No, I don't. I prefer not to.
On a like separate note, I'll comment on that. I think that's someone who can actually be conscious of that process and doesn't want someone else doing it for them. Someone who's actually aware and takes responsibility for that.
Yeah,
I have a higher degree of respect for that. Yeah,
yeah.
but back like sort of back. Yeah, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah. I guess it'd be better if I gave you, because I definitely see the slaughtering that does happen. I don't think it's so much so commonplace to happen. I just think there are situations where it does, because I also, my ex, her father-in-law basically ran a big cow farm, and it's not a wasn't in a humane. If anything, cow, I'll really think about it, it is man-made, actually a wild animal from nature. So I kind of come,
Yeah,
but I do primarily hunt my own, because it I can hunt one. I can take one weekend out of my day, out of my year, and hunt and feed my family for the year, and I know where it came from. I know what's in it. I don't have to play that. Are they lying game?
I've been thinking about the various arguments for and against hunting, and still trying to really hash it out. So my position isn't cemented. I definitely know that there is sort of like an entitlement to those who can hunt, because there's a limit to how much we can hunt. Because if everyone did it, we would annihilate all the wild species.
As a hunter, it's a very thin line on both, and understandably so, because kind of goes, well, no matter what no matter what, everyone hunts, we run out. No one hunts, they overpopulate, run us out, and it's kind of one of those things you have to realize you're here, and they were here first. So imagine
Well,
if they didn't take their area and land, what they would be without the hunt. But the worst case scenario is bears, mountain lions, and they all do those things too if there's regulation.
I'm not entirely the one point that I'm not convinced on with the hunting is if they like really would overpopulate, or that it's actually a good thing to be harvesting a select amount. So, I mean, it could very well be the case that we're just wrong, that like just leaving them alone would help the environment in some other way that we hadn't expected. Because I'm not entirely convinced of the
Okay.
research or any of that on population numbers.
Well, here's the issue. A lot of people don't realize that happens. Um, think it's around 45% birds, elk will say, 45% of those deer they actually starve to death. Kind of one of as for myself, I don't want young deer. Young deers, the
I'm
genetics
aware of that.
not good. I want the older ones, and when you kind of call it cycle the herd, you actually get stronger deer. Populate, they over.
Well, they might only be overeating in respect to the fact that we've taken most of the land anyway. Like if we had more
Oh yeah.
forests,
Oh,
then
absolutely. Yeah.
we wouldn't have that issue. It's sort of like a
You,
pseudo issue. Like
you're 100
we
percent
create the problem and then create the solution. So that's where I'd probably disagree. But then again, I could just be wrong. Like it could just be the case that if we had more forests, there would just be exponentially more numbers, and then we'd have this same issue. But then again, with the predators and then all these ecological niches, and we don't even understand all the ecological niches. Like, I mean, it's definitely a good thing to have good a good amount of deer, a good amount of every species. Granted that, I'm glad you don't support factory farming because it's the ecological arguments for that could just like bury it, even if you're not in
well,
like a moral vegan.
I'm at the
Most
same
people are.
time. What I comes to the factory farming, I think it goes saying we've made the we're at the population we are now. What are we going to tell people they got starved to death? Because and here, but unfortunate aspect of it is just aspect of it. All farming and agricultural, no matter what sector of it, has its way of having to do something to it, accommodate for the population, whether we like it or not.
You
But
mean like
or
any kind of consumerism, or like you're talking about plant agriculture, right? That
yeah,
there's
yeah,
going to be a negative impact to the environment. No, I totally agree, and I'm studying alternative methods to monocropping. So there's various other systems, and a
oh,
lot of them actually end up giving back to the land, like polyculture. There's a lot of agroecological literature out there, and I'm learning about that. I agree. Completely agree. I think as it stands, the vegan arguments could be much more stronger if we're gonna boycott just factory farming or meat altogether. It seems like there's a lot of plant agriculture. If we're going to be consistent with our ecological arguments, that we'd probably have to step back and away from those kinds of foods as well. I mean, why stop at boycotting just the directly animal products? There's other products like palm oil or the monocropped like soy and shit like that. I agree
yeah, yeah.
completely.
No matter what factory either side, it's on a financial gain. In my opinion, um, one of the biggest issues I have is I live in California. California, if you start your own personal garden. If it's too large, you can be fined. You'll be fined $10,000 in California doing so. To me, it's like, well, that's full-hearted force saying you have to buy our food, can't fend for yourself, basically. And that's kind of where I was like, that's the case. I'm hunting. If I can't have a farm, go hunt. I don't overkill. Most of the time, I actually have had to turn down going hunting because I have had enough meat. I have buddies that do the same, and we just trade most times. We don't go hunting. Didn't go hunting at all because the families that had enough were passing it around. I think it's the all hunters are eating as well. All vegans want to kill everybody that kills meat, and it's like, no, no. There's a conscious thought behind everything, no matter what side you're on. As far as I'm concerned, I can't just eat all my life. I body work, and you're either having to find the foods that will give you just enough, or supplement to get enough. But regardless of it, I think a balanced meal is round favorite for everything. There is too much of everything, little of everything. They're human. Stupid.
Right. No,
So
no,
who knows
yeah,
what we really need? So to the 100%.
yeah. I mean, I I held your position before I went vegan, and I had an opportunity to go hunting. So I told myself, "Fuck the industry." But like, if it's wild and I actually do it and I actually know what's happening and I understand the whole process, then I'll eat it. But I was in that position and I couldn't pull the trigger. So I was like, I guess my moral intuitions or my
So
sensibilities actually align with
before the
not
hunt,
consciousness.
have you survived off game meat, or were you like store buying and stuff?
Um, I wasn't eating any kind of. I was vegan except for when my dad would like he went fishing, so I would eat. I was pescatarian, I guess, for
Okay, I see what you're saying.
like a while.
Yeah, yeah, because what I have found is like I said, I have a freezer. Once my freezer gets to a certain point, um, not for me, it's not. I'm going to the store to go buy some. It's I gotta plan a trip. Have to hopefully get it as soon as I can because honestly, the longer I'm out there, the more less calories and less life I'm having.
Yeah, I'd
You
like
know what
to
I mean.
debate the
So
sustainability of hunting, and I mean we've already decimated the environment so much. So it's just generally my position will just be that we
well,
should
well,
just
well,
leave
well
nature
let me
alone as
this.
much as possible,
There's a big
unless there's
point on
some
that.
kind of intelligence.
Big point on that. I'm a hunter. I don't want anyone out there either. I want more animals. I want the animals to sustain because, and next winter, I want to be able, and I don't want it to be the last one. So the sustain of animals is planned, more on my mind, be more on my mind than anyone. Remember, because
Yeah,
when
no,
I go to
and
Ron's,
maybe one of the other vegans here will like run some kind of ethical argument against that. But for now, I mean,
yeah, I mean,
I wanted to hop back to the chicken thing, but
okay, okay, that
because I'm trying to understand your view. It seems like you're saying if an animal has self awareness, or do you know what metacognition is? I can quickly
to a
explain.
small, yeah, please do on a small degree. I think it's better if we.
Like self awareness would just be like that primary level, but if you pass the mirror test, for example, you'd say like if you saw a mark on your cheek and then you started touching your own cheek through the like from just looking at the mirror, we'd say that you're aware of yourself. But it's another thing to actually be aware and have changing thoughts like in the moment and to make predictions. And so it's basically metacognition would be to think about your own thoughts, or like it's that beliefs about your own beliefs kind of with
Evaluate
that.
to evaluate your in your head.
Right. Right, exactly. So, which a lot of meat eaters might make arguments that in order for a death to be like valuable or invaluable, they might say that's the relevant feature, right? If an animal can't contemplate the consequences of their death, then they would argue that I disagree, right? But they would argue that the death is just not meaningful because if you kill a human, they're losing out on so much. There's so many deep things that they could be contemplating about life, and to deprive them of that would be evil. But for the animals, they don't have that kind of deep level metacognition.
In a group guys. Horn?
But it seems like from the paper I sent you about chickens, the self control, um, they're just defining it as the ability to resist immediate gratification for later benefit, which means that they're actually planning for the future and forecasting. Um, it requires them. Sorry. Well, it requires like not only mental time travel, but the ability to inhibit or delay an immediate response. So it's not just the fact that they're operating on this like instinctual level. They're actually going to be demonstrating some. It seems like you could argue that's some kind of metacognition. So that it seems there's a paper here. It goes into it that it's cited in the paper I linked to you under self-control. So they're the ability to think about and choose future outcomes seems to be indicative of metacognition. And chickens do demonstrate this. So in a situation where they're given a choice between a 2-second delay followed by access to food, or for a 3-second delay, or for a 6-second delay followed by an access to 22-second delay, which is the jackpot amount of food, hens held out for the larger reward, demonstrating rational discrimination between future outcomes, while also employing self-control to optimize for those outcomes, which means they're actually showing on the fly decision making, and we would draw a strong inference from that that's metacognition, even though it doesn't actually say it in the paper. You could make an argument following from self-awareness that that's actually metacog. But I mean, if you grant that, like, I don't know if you're just gonna say, well, damn, like, seems like chickens deserve a base level of moral consideration or not. Like, I don't know if it's really relevant to you. A lot of people would be convinced by that.
Yeah, because see the thing I'm reading. To me, not relevant, because when and I hate to say it this way, I would think in my brain I'm going, I would have chickens tops a year. And so I'm not doing all these things to chickens, so in my brain it doesn't work the same, because pretty much feel the exact same way about the factory farming aspect. That I would say without question, any elk or bear, I would say they have far more self-awareness than any chicken. But at the same time, I don't kill 20 because it's fun.
I think I see what you're saying. I think I tend to agree that like a bear or an elk is going to have more complex behavior. I don't like just the size of their brain, or maybe the density of their neural correlates. We can make different kinds of predictions, but I'm just arguing for sufficient agency, and it seems like chickens have that. So it doesn't seem like you would want to go and eat a chicken anyway, because the kill isn't going to be worth the amount of meat. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. To be honest, I would probably go buy one rather than go to a farm and myself. But at the same time, I don't remember the last time I actually ate chicken. For that reason, I don't really eat chicken. Try to avoid it. But
I mean, like, do we agree though that it seems like chickens definitely have self-awareness at minimum, but and likely, maybe not conclusively, but likely metacognition? Like, do we agree there?
I guess from what's been said here, yeah, I would have to concede to that until further review, because like I said, I am going to paper you.
Yeah, that's fine. Like,
but as
I'm not asking about the moral status or anything like that.
No, yeah, exactly.
Because I know that.
Yeah. What your question? It was very clear. I just wanted to say as an argument we're having now, absolutely, I'd have to concede yes.
I would be interested in exploring, in your opinion, have you heard some of the other kinds of vegan arguments, like name the trait?
To be honest, no. That was kind of why I joined the server. A buddy of mine had mentioned you guys have a lot of the debates about it, and I come from I come from a I don't even want to say it, but basically I have a lot of the arguments with so-called vegans with very reachy arguments. So I was told that you guys are definitely, or I'm observing, definitely more knowledgeable of what you're speaking on. Kind of a sigh of relief. So I'm not making waves, and I don't want to come off like a factory farm is good because I am against it. That's why I do it the way. No, I unfortunately I have not heard arguments. This is actually the first night I've actually heard.
I used to hold your position, so that's why I'm more like sensible to it. And I won't speak for all of us, but yeah, there's a lot. This is probably one of the more intelligent corners of the internet you could find yourself on. There's even a lot of intelligent mediators as well, so it's not just like one-sided here. But for the name the trait argument, do you want me to just summarize it for you and just see what your general like response to it would be?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Sure. So we'd have to assume, in order for the argument to run, we have to know whether you, in general, just ascribe some kind of value to humans or not. Like, just take an innocent human. Would it be okay to factory farm them? Or actually, no, wait. Let's just say hunt, because you think it's ethical to hunt. Because you're saying it's unethical to factory farm, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Well,
yeah.
Wait. It's unethical to factory farm the way we've seen in the past, but it is. I have to admit, it is necessary to sustain life on a global scale, and that's what I mean on both sides. It needs to be not enough of us living in areas where we can. And a lot of people are stuck on.
Or using like landmass the size of Africa and uses 4 times at minimum more land. It's just not efficient per calorie on a calorie basis. So I disagree that there's obviously the standard vegan objections there, but we can just go right to the hunting context.
Okay. Yeah.
So
okay. So
it's ethical to hunt an elk, but I'm just guessing here, right? That it's probably unethical in your view to hunt a human.
Absolutely. Wholeheartedly say I have on a different value, on a different level of value.
Yeah, so you gave different answers there, which implies that there's going to be something true of the human that actually gives it value, and something that same thing is lacking in the animal. So you could just say, well, it's the fact that it's human, but that seems rather uninformative. Like you could say that, but like,
well, let's be honest. If we could put a couple people out there that we know have done really really bad things, would we morally all say it's
not in those? Yeah, not in those. I agree with those.
No. I'm just playing. I'm just messing around. No. But when you ask, because like I tried to stay blank when I being asked a question that way. I want the first thought that comes up, and my first thought was that I give value, and I'd give. It's not that I don't give elk same elk value. It's just different. I put it on a totem pole, on higher on the totem pole.
I mean, I would. No, yeah. I mean, I would put the humans probably higher on the totem pole too, but the elk is still above that threshold. For you, the elk is below the threshold where it's fine to kill, right?
To feed my family, absolutely.
Yeah, but
Do I have to kill that elk? To feed my family, no, but I feel much better about
I mean, we're just talking in principle. So I know that there's going to be practical limitations, like the living in California, the laws, access to other food. I mean, in theory, you could just buy like local organically, or not necessarily organic, but like permaculture, sustainably grown produce. Like, it's not necessarily the case that you have to either go hunting or buy a factory farm chicken. Like, there are more, because that's just a false dichotomy. But so I don't want to get really tied in here for too long. Like, I just want to know. It seems like the elk, because you could go and hunt a human and then feed it to your family, but I don't think you'd do that.
eh.
So like, the way this argument runs is that we just ask, well, then what's true if the human, if revoked, would actually make it fine to hunt them? So like, there's something lacking in the animal, but if the animal gains some trait, something that the human has, then it would also have value. Some
It
people
does
would
have
say,
it does have value. It just like
but just not enough, right?
well, no, it could have its value in life.
You mean like it doesn't have intrinsic value though? That's just
It fed my
that's
family.
equivocation.
I know family's food is coming from. I had to bust my do it. It that elk has value. Does it have less value than a human does? Yes. Same way, um, blowing up a car has less value to me than blowing up a human. You know what I mean?
No, I think we might be talking past each other. So when I'm saying that it has value, I'm saying that we would grant it just the basic consideration, like basic right to life. Like, you wouldn't go and murder a human and eat
Oh,
it to
oh,
feed your family,
yeah.
but
Okay.
you would do that to the elk. So there's going to be like an ethically relevant difference there, and I'm just asking you, well, what accounts for that? And
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
it's a tough question if you want to think about it.
Very easy. The time that I haven't gotten out. Times that I've bled, sweat, had to actually shoot an elk, and then pack it all out. Those times are the ones that put a high value on. I would say, matter of fact, that elk, an elk that I have shot, has more value to any one person.
No, but
Really,
I think you're doing the same thing again. I don't know what the word for this is, but because like I can apply that to some human context. Like, I could kill a human and then pack it all out, and it would be incredibly difficult, and the hunt might even be difficult. So I would value that meat incredibly. But I mean, how would you begin to argue against me going and doing that? If I said I was going to go do that right now, what would your argument against that be?
I wouldn't have an argument. I would. I mean, let's be honest. Survival situation happens.
I don't think it is
It's
though.
okay if it's
But
not.
but
If it's
even
just I'm
even
gonna go
in,
out. If it's just I'm going hunting and I see a person because they happen to be out there, do I shoot it and kill it? No, because humans have more value than an animal to me.
right, and that's what I'm trying to ask about. Because, well, I mean, I don't grant that in the elk case it truly is a survival situation in the true like sense. And normally when we mean like life or death
Okay,
situations,
well,
choosing to go down
if
and
I
hunt isn't
choose
going to
not
be.
to if I choose not to get my meat from from Vaughn's or Ralph's, I don't have any meat. I do. Same
Well,
thing.
that's assuming that it's a necessity to eat some kind of meat. I mean, do you
It
believe
is.
that?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, we might have to table the ethical discussion. Well, we not necessarily, but sometimes it gets strung up here when someone believes that vegans are going to be deficient in some vitamin, so that it's actually necessary to eat.
I have I've the what I also train. I'm a fighter, so vegans that I know that they are would be my observation. The ups and downs of it, and once you once you've really got into a chain of what to eat, what you goes good with your body, things do balance. But they've all had situations, tired or being fatigued, less strength, beginning of it, learning how.
I agree. There's a learning curve, but are you saying that there's no way for them to optimize it and actually perform at minimum as equally as a non-vegan?
Oh, absolutely. I'm not saying that at all. No. Matter of fact, I know a
Okay.
couple that
I
are
mean, for
champions. I'm not saying that.
yeah,
I'm saying for me,
yeah.
for me, I'll be honest with you. That we're not in a debate to help me become. Trust me, I'm a meat, love my meat. But there is an argument for everything. That's why I very
Yeah, I
ranty
just
and
want
I
to help
do
you understand.
apologize.
I just wanted to. I'm not trying to proselytize. I just want you to
Oh no, no,
understand the
I know.
arguments.
Oh yeah, no, and I appreciate that. No, I'm just messing around. I like to joke around sometimes.
So, well, I have vegan MMA fighting friends, and they're doing pretty
Yeah, yeah.
extraordinarily.
Oh yeah, no. Like I said,
So,
I know a few that are world champions. Like I said, it's what I see as the problem in veganism in them was always the curve to balance, basically, and that's my downside to it. Um, but what it takes to balance, honestly, I don't know. I don't want to make an argument for not being.
okay, I don't really see a reason that we disagree there because I agree that there is a learning curve. For me, there was just something motivated me to go and learn. So it was just looking at the footage, and then I went and looked at hunting footage too. Like I saw this gigantic, beautiful moose just get bow hunted, and the hunter hit him straight in the heart, and the moose just stood there and like was like, what? And then just 2 seconds after the shot went in, like just everything ruptured and like the heart like exploded, and I was just like, holy fuck! And like this moose just fell forward, like just directly forward, just right there on the spot. And I was like, I was just displeased by it. There's something weird that I couldn't shake about that. So in any of these cases, I was just like, I can't really get on board with it. Because then
A lot
I
of that
think
is
what I thought about
case
was
by
like, what if that
case.
were my heart? Like, fuck.
Well, like I said, I think case by case. That sounds to me like a sports hunter. Again, I'm not there to catch the biggest one. I'm not there one with the most horns. I'm there to get bow and arrow lessons. I need best chances as I got. Literally, like either going to be wasting my time out there, or I'm going to be able to feed my family. But shoot with an arrow sounds like someone that's doing it for sport, not for hunt.
Yeah, I was just explaining sort of my reasoning, but you might have a different reasoning. So I don't know what would motivate you. The other thing that motivated me was there was the ecological arguments, which I mean, argue arguably hunting might or may not get around that, but then there's the cholesterol arguments too, the saturated fat cholesterol for we know that there's causation for heart disease, so I couldn't get around that. And there still to this day I haven't heard any kind of rebuttal that I'm satisfied with. So that's what personally motivated me, but also I knew intuitively that I couldn't pull the trigger for like when I was invited hunting. I went out, did all the hunting shit, went on the ATVs, did it all, couldn't pull the trigger. So that's just for me, but for you, I mean, there's that learning curve, and yeah. Anyway, so back to this. Like, there's a difference, right, between humans and animals, and I just want to explore what do you think that difference is. Some people will say it's the intelligence level, but that seems to lead to weird places because we have like
No, see, I think much more. Look, found a way. Make computers, make a server where we can debate against each other's animals. It's all about survival.
well, like so when you say survival, like are you saying morals go out the window when it's all about survival? It's kind of like an appeal to force. Whoever's the strongest wins, and then there's no morals. Like what are the implications of what you just said?
Yeah, no, not so much survival. It is, but more than again. I do have a totem pole of value in assholes. so,
So no, me too. I mean, we probably even have the same order of value, but then where we differ is what threshold where it's fine to kill or fine or not fine to kill, and that's just going to be our personal preferences. It's like fine to kill, to eat, or like utilize the whole body. I know the whole hunting thing. Yeah.
yeah, it's a nightmare. If you go out and hunt, like I'm not saying you didn't. I'm saying when it becomes more of a necessity, for my family, they more and more do they become fun, or less and less. I mean, do they become fun? They become pain in the ass. They become painful. They become time out of taking a long period of time out of your time. So if you're lucky,
But like, I still haven't heard really this distinction between humans and animals, because if it were a survival situation, you're saying like, are you really saying morals go out the window, or are you saying that the are you really sorry, I think some people came in.
No.
kind of cut.
So do morals go out the window, or is it just might makes right? Like the strongest survive, and the strongest ones dictate what's moral and what's immoral. Just like I'm a subjectivist, so that's just going to be indexed to the agent, which is like to say X action aligns with my personal preferences, so acting in accordance with that action is ethical, and actions which don't align with that goal are unethical. And the goal is that. Do you agree with that?
I think so. Yeah, have to hunt out and do.
I think I would just like, so name the trade, right? Sounds to me, I'm getting a feeling like you're sort of dodging around actually answering what the the difference is, what actually gives humans that the value, and then going and pivoting to the necessary component, which is also debatable. I don't think it's necessary, and you just said it's necessary in virtue of that you don't want to go through the learning curve. So it's not even going to like we already went down that route and ended there. It doesn't seem like that's really, if you think about it, probably like not the best logic, but I kind of let it slide because I was being charitable. But there's another debate happening, and if you want to think about the difference, and I'm sure someone else, like in the server, it's unavoidable that someone else is going to run name the trait. So next time they ask you what's true of animals, which if true of humans would justify killing them for food, maybe like you can figure out what that is. So you could say food chain, you could say a bunch of things, and we've heard some of these answers so frequently that we actually have a list of them. And you could stack them. You can name multiple traits, and all we mean by traits are just things that are true of one but not the other. Because we're gonna subtract basically how it works, just to give you that, like, to close this. So if you named some trait like, well, animals are stupid, so it's fine to kill them, so the trait would be intelligence, we're just going to revoke that in humans and then ask you the same thing. So we say, is it fine to kill mentally retarded humans? And to be consistent, right? Otherwise, you're going to contradict yourself. You'd have to say yes to that, and it leads you to these really absurd things. So that's what name the trait does. Yeah. So just to give you that, it's some people have coined it as like one of the best arguments for veganism. I think it's really great because I still haven't found any kind of trait combination that, personally, if I'm being honest, that I'd really be satisfied with. So just know that at worst, if you want to remain a meat eater, you could concede the whole argument and just say it's wrong to eat animals, but I'm a hypocrite. You could say that, but that's like pretty much the worst thing that you have to do. But a lot of people have really big egos and they don't want to do that, and they want to go down these really long debates and shit. If you want to do that, I'll be around. And yeah, but it was nice talking to you. My name is Beyond.
Yeah, you too.
Nice to meet you, Chandra. Okay, let's go listen to some guy argue against sex work.
Thank you again.
Only option, but that goes for any fucking job, whether it's someone working at a slaughterhouse and that's your only option, any fucking job. I think that destroys quote unquote souls, whatever the fuck you mean by souls. I don't think that sex work as a whole, because some people do want to actually do sex work. That is what they want to do. And I don't think that destroys their souls. Whatever souls are. So, but then you said that you don't actually believe in souls and you're using it metaphorically. So I just want to know what you even mean by souls in the first place before we continue this.
Well, considering I answered this and then you said that you just decided not to tune in and listen to my responses, I think I am officially deciding that, yeah, I don't want to argue with you. So that's it.
Dude, she's engaging you in good faith right now.
Yeah,
No,
I'm sorry.
No,
I was just being brutally honest with you.
Literally.
Wait, hold on, Siler, hold on. I have ADD and I apologize. Something came up that was more important than this debate or this conversation, that my attention was, like I wasn't paying attention, and I apologize for doing that. Sorry, I have ADD, so that just happens. Especially when something that's more important to me than like this conversation or this debate is going on. But I wasn't trying to tell you that by upset